let's jump right into creating our ASP.NET Core web application with authentication. So we'll select ASP.NET Core web application, hit next. We're going to use the same Razor project, which is fine. So we'll say start with auth is our name and start with auth app. And once this gets created, then what we'll do is we will select over here web application. So ASP.NET Core, .NET Core 2.2, web application down here, which is Razor pages. And we'll change from no authentication to individual user accounts. And we have either store user accounts in app or connect to an existing user store in the cloud. So we'll do in app. And we'll hit create. And we'll wait for that to get started. And once it does, we'll be able to see our authentication system, which is add this folder called areas. We also have a data folder. So these two come with authentication. So let's look at identity, pages, and we have view start, which isn't much, just identity pages, that's it. The data folder, we have our application DB context. We have our migrations for the entity framework, and that's pretty much all there is to see there. Let's open up our shared folder under pages and look at our layout now. In our layout down here, we're going to see a partial class. And that's right here. Partial name equals underscore login partial, which is right here. The login partial calls a number of different things. It has injections for sign-in manager and user manager, and it uses the Microsoft ASP.NET Core identity. So this is where identity happens. We have our if the user signed in, then this is what you show them. Otherwise, this is what you show them. So you see the register and login if they are not signed in, but if they are signed in, you see the hello and their name, which is user.identity.name. So that's at least something we can do with that, which is it's nice to have at least some information about who's logged in at the time. We also have, of course, the log out button as well. Okay, so let's just see this in action. So we're going to start this up. And once it starts up, we'll see that we'll have these two pages down here. And actually, the one thing I want to change, let me stop this for a minute. Let's go to our app settings.json, change this. Our database name is ridiculously long. Let's change that. Let's change this to start with auth DB. There we go. So that's in our app settings.json. And that's a local DB. And we could swap it out for a full SQL database, but that I think is fine. And it's also in our app settings, which means we'd want to swap that out for the real settings when we go to production. All right, so we have two new sections or two new menu entries here. We have register and login. So register, we can enter an email address and a password. And we can register. And once we do, and it says, oh, we can't create that database. We need to apply migrations. So what this is saying is we haven't yet applied migrations to our database. Either we have to go to the package manager console and run update database, or we can run this in the command line, or we can just click this button here, apply migrations. We click that. And once it's done, we'll be able to continue on where we left off. All right, so it's been applied. It says try refreshing the page. And yes, we want to continue with our post. And now it says, hello, Tim, I am Tim Corey. If I click this, I can see my information. Now we're going to go over some of this extra information here in our privacy and security, but here's the information we have about this user. Username, email address. We can send an email verification if we've got that wired up. And we can even add a phone number here. We can change the password if you want. And we can even do two-factor authentication and get information about the personal data. Again, we'll cover that in the future, but that's all here baked in right away with our application. We can log out. We can go to the login page, and now we can log back in. And we have the forgot your password page, which let's just open that up in a minute. And we have remember me as well. So there you go. We can log back in just the same. Log out, go to log in, go to forgot password. We can enter the email address. We can hit submit. And there's the password confirmation, the forgot password confirmation. Now, again, you have to have your email system wired up in order for it to actually be sending emails, but at least these pages are all in place so that you just need to wire up a little bit of code to finish getting this to work. All right, so that's the authentication system. Fairly simple to do, and it's fairly self-contained. It's mostly in areas. We do have the, of course, data transformation for Entity Framework, but it's all inside a data folder. And then we have just this login partial page that we can make changes to if we want to see different things in our menu. Okay, so that is authentication when you bring it in right away from your new project.